What is up, guys? Wraec here with a new video, and today we are going to take a look at Lucca. He's not live on the main server yet, however he will be at the 1st of November, so not a long time for us to do some testing till then. He is a pretty interesting hero. He's a Lightbearer tank. We already have two actually, Lucius and Temesia. Lucius, decent, Temesia, pretty great hero, so that is really the competition he's in if he wants to become the best Lightbearer tank. He has a very defensive skill set, protecting his allies. I think we can just take him into a little bit of a test here and just see what he can do. So for the team, I usually use Thorin. I think we'll just replace Thorin here with our new trusty friend Lucca, if I can find him. He somehow ran away, I don't know. There he is. And we are going to see what he can do, even at one copy, if he's tanky. I'm pretty curious. Like, we get the first hits in, he takes a ton of damage there, substantially more actually than my Thorin usually does. I think he's now hurt. And he's down! So yeah, that wasn't quite that fancy. Let's take a look at how, for example, another tank, how Lucius would handle the same situation. Lightbearer tank as well. Let's see what happens here. Okay, gets to the first ult, casts the ult, also takes a ton of damage, we have to see that. Recovers a bit of HP early healing. And also dies, but it feels like he survived a little bit longer at least. So in that regard, kind of interesting. We have to see that actually this guy gets a ton of survivability at Mythic Plus. Let's give it another try. Let's see if that first one was a fluke. He has a very cool animation for his ult, by the way. Check this out. Like, he hits up this enemy, slams them into the ground. I love that. I love that. Nonetheless, 79, I think that was 5 seconds faster than our Lucius. So that's not that great, to be honest. At least at one copy, that's not that great. Maybe we'll try another tank. No, that's not tank. That is not correct. We could compare him to Tundra. That is also kind of interesting. Also no faction skill advantage or anything here. Of course with Tundra, she let Iron run first, which is a little bit cheating, we have to say. It's a little bit cheating. We see her, but now she's taunting. Lucca was already dead at this point. At this point, Lucius died. And Tundra's still alive. But she let Iron tank. She let Iron tank quite a lot. So that's I don't know. It feels a little bit like cheating here. So yeah, I don't know. At least at one copy, tanking wise, it's not really that impressive. Difficult. We have to see one thing though, like his abilities to tank. We have all of the base abilities, of course, gaining a shield based on Physic Death and Magic Death, by the way, is kind of interesting. That is scaling from that. Then we have some reduced damage taken every time he roars. We saw that as well. Reducing damage taken by a certain percent amount. But then we have like max HP increases, which are useful. And then this one, this is the Mythic Plus, and this gives him a big shield actually for each ally that is placed behind him. So yeah, 5% attack boost for those as well. This would really help him. Also, he's steadfast, that can't be knocked around. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. 15% HP recovery when you cast Courage Core, which is this. You can cast that every 12 seconds. Not a super big HP recovery, but it can help, and together with a big shield, kinda nice. Maybe we'll just give him another attempt against another stage. And we'll see how he does against that. In this situation, honestly, we'll probably want to go like this. Just so more enemies actually target him. He's running over there, interesting. See him hit on the enemy there. I want to see his damage numbers as well. We see the ult. Ult doing not too much damage really. It's a decent amount, but it's not really insane at all. The good thing is he's really fulfilling the usual function of a tank. He's not like special in that regard. I kind of like my tanks to be normal, honestly. Tank is supposed to tank, he's standing there, he's taking damage, he has some damage reduction, he has some heal, he has stuff like that. So, and a bit of CC can never hurt damage-wise. I mean, like, he did more than he won, at least. So, that's something. Took damage, didn't die, so in that regard, the basics are there. Let's say it like that. The basics are there. He survived that. There was this meme that if he's good for story, so let's try that. Let's try if he's good for story. It's a little bit mean, by the way. But okay, we'll try. That would be cheating. We take her out. Let's put somebody else in there. We put a Smokey in there. We support him a little bit. And then we'll say he's good for story. Because he will survive that, will he? I don't know. Like, the thing is, we have so many good tanks already in the game that do his job. That do, like, the basic tanking. And I'm not quite sure he's that much better than Lucius. I think he will have a tough fight there. Because Lucius is not a bad tank at all. And I think in many situations you don't even go really with a tank. You can leave the tanking to something like Brutus as well, and can go for some damage options, or go for something like Roan and Sinbad. Sinbad can be a very nice choice for that. And I'm not sure he's that great in that regard. Struggling a little bit. Oh, the disarming is pretty cool. Oh, he used that. Like that is something new. I've never seen that on a hero. He can disarm enemies, so that is pretty fancy. Honestly, he looked pretty good in this fight. Yeah, he looked. And then our heroes took 0 damage. He actually did this. This is actually perfect. So I can now perfectly claim he's good for story, because he did his job really, really well right now, arguably. Like, you can't really say anything against that. It's like 0 damage on all of his teammates. Best tank in the world. No, let's take more of a look into that. So the thing is, we have many tanks that are good at being tanks. And if we go a bit in depth on that, the best one to do this is of course Fresto. Massive damage combined with all of the traits you want as a tank, superior survivability. He has a split, he has even some synergy with artifacts like Starshot spell that require you to ult. He basically heals back to full with every single ult as long as there are plenty amount of enemies around him. And has innate damage reduction based on the positioning of his copy, which is absolutely great. It is absolutely great. So makes him easily the best tank. Ulmus, honestly, in my opinion, miscategorized. This is not really a tank. It is like a specialist, because you use him for CC, not for the tanking. He takes a hit, goes back to the back row, can't be one-shot, which is good, and then provides CC and combines with Iron. So that's the thing. And Tundra is quite interesting S-tier tank. We talked about Granny, and I got some comments that people really liked her. I think she's great. She has better tank set for in terms of abilities to tank even than Lucca, I would say. Because like she has this 50% ability, where at 50% she starts recovering HP, gains massive boost to her defense. I think that's really great, honestly. Still she sees no use. Why is that the case? Well, she's good for some people at the start, but later on you really want to develop towards those better options. So the field in terms of tanking is really, really tough. Even Thorin is A tier only. Dunlinger, okay, it's not really tanking, honestly. It's not super tanky. Lucius is a very decent tank. Like, he's not even bad. Can protect his allies with shields, is not even bad. Lumont is disruptive as hell. Was probably the only one that I would call bad in a sense, but he saw play in AFK stages. Even on some smoky clears he saw play, so it's not like he's like super bad. And you have to keep in mind what the upper end of this is. The upper end of this tier list in terms of Fresto is that we have a tank that is also the best damage dealer at the moment for the Crazed Shell with Primal Lord, which is crazy. So we're on a crazy list here with heroes that are crazy strong. And the question is, where does he rank in that? And I wouldn't call his set better than Granny. Like, honestly, I wouldn't call it better than Granny. The only real use that I see for this guy at the moment, and the only real reason to develop towards him, is because you want to use the Lightbearer faction skill. That is really the only reason I see why you would want to have them. Because in Lightbearer, of course, you have the double ult, which is super interesting if you want to like be strong and do a ton of damage in boss fights, and or do AFK stages maybe with Tazi. And you kind of have a little bit of a struggle finding good heroes here, because we have a ton of heroes here in the Lightbearer faction that are just B or C tier, and rightfully so. I mean, Corrin doesn't really see a ton of play. Honestly, Merrily doesn't either. Corrin sees more play this season than Merrily. Vala is pretty good, but If you want to go for Lightbearer faction, unless you are in the tower, you probably go for another damage dealer. Cassidy is nice, but yeah, doesn't really help you a whole lot if you go for AFK stages. Sinbad, on the other hand, is a pretty good hero and can make AFK stages easier. And if you want to have a tank, you either have the option to use your second slot outside of the Lightbearer faction, because you have 2 slots of the Lightbearer faction. 3 of your heroes have to be Lightbearer. And then you have 2 more that can be from some other faction, one of which in AFK stages will likely be Tazi, or be some other good damage dealing type hero from another faction. And then you have 1 slot left, and then you only really have a few options to go for. Some people just go for something like Iron, or they decide to go with, for example, Brutus, just for the immunity. And that can be an option too. But if you want to stay in the Lightbearer faction, you want to make your team more tanky, really the only options that you have is to go for Lucius. So the question is he better than Lucius? Lucius is also an A tier, so it's kind of a nice comparison. And I am honestly not sure. Like, Lucius is fairly tanky. We have knockback, we have shields, we have some healing power as well in here, so it is a bit of a question. I think Lucca has a good chance to be like at least a little bit better than Lucius once he is upgraded. Like at 1 copy, I don't know. He dies fairly swiftly here. Honestly, 1 copy Iron can do the tanking job, because he's actually pretty good at tanking then. But like, he has no taunt, which Antandra, for example, has, which is nice if you want to keep the enemies from attacking your allies. He doesn't really have major CC, which an Ulmus would have if you want to go for an A tier tank. So, like, really, in terms of tanking, no. In terms of being a Lightbearer tank, I could see him work. Even though his skills have nothing that impress me. And honestly, if the question is about whether or not you want to summon this guy, I would say probably no. Like, he's not that type of hero where I say, oh, he's super impressive. Look how great this hero is, which we had with Tazi, where we said, oh, that is insane. And I want to see that with Lightbearer. I have no idea what I actually want to see about Lucca. We are going to make a stream, yes, we are going to analyze him, we are going to give him a fair chance, and doing like a full summoning with Supreme Plus and everything. But yeah, I don't know. Not like super impressive. At least he took a ton of damage, so that was good. But I doubt that he's going to be the go-to hero. Shouldn't take away that from your options to test him. I mean, you can still swap him for another A tier later, or for an A tier that we already had. So if you say, okay, Lucca wasn't it, which, I mean, in all likelihood he probably isn't, you can still swap into another A tier. So that's an option. Yeah. That being said, what do you think about Lucca? Do you think he will be meta? Do you think he will beat Lucius? Honestly, on the beating Lucius stuff, I don't wanna, like, I'm not too sure about it yet. So I want to go more into detail. We are going to test that in the live stream. Right now, it's not as clear. I would say probably yes in the MK, but not super sure. So we're going to see that. Anyway, I hope you have a nice day. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and with that, we'll see us in the next one.